Michelle, welcome to the YouTube channel. This is like hilarious because we literally live together, like we're dating. And you got into high ticket sales like 6-ish months ago, back in like September. It's currently like April. So I kind of just wanted to give you the floor to explain kind of what you had going on beforehand and like what was it that made you like get into this?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited. So I obviously we live together. I started in sales, well, high ticket sales in September. But it was something that I like kind of dabbled my feet in before. I think it was like April or May, but it really just didn't work out with the company that I was with. And I feel like I got scared away and I didn't know if like it was actually going to work, if sales was going to be for me. But yeah, in September, I came to a point where I was like, I really need to make money and I'm just getting in my own way at this point when I know that there are opportunities out there. I'm just not saying yes to them. So that's when I decided to kind of give myself that opportunity.
Okay, cool, cool. And like, um, did you do anything in the past that kind of like helped you like get into this?
Yeah, yeah. So I was in direct sales and I did that since I was 18 years old. So when I was a freshman in college, I got the opportunity, midway through freshman year. And it was like my first ever like time that I ever saw, oh, you can make more money. You don't have to settle for a 9 to 5. There are other opportunities out there. So I got into it thinking that that was what I was going to do long term. And I did it all through college. So about 3 years, 3.5 years. And that is what I did. I also was, a host for a little bit at a restaurant right before I graduated college. So I was kind of just like dabbling in it. I think I noticed the one thing that I was good at was selling. Like I could sell people on a package. I was building this team where I was teaching these, girls how to sell people on this 250 package. And I thought that was hard to sell, but I was pretty good at it. And so
Yeah.
big drastic change when I got into high ticket sales, because the number is, much bigger, but I mean, I was good at it. So it was kind of an easy transition for me to kind of hone in on the one thing that I felt really skilled at, just in a different vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. And it was much like higher leverage too, because obviously you can't
Yeah.
make 500-600 bucks commission on a $250 thing. It just doesn't make sense. So
Yes.
when you went from selling something that's like 250 bucks to like like 8,000 bucks, um, what were some of the biggest learning curves in like selling something like drastically more expensive?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me was that it was easier. Like I think it's so much easier when you're selling to broke people versus when you're selling to people that you want a course, want a skill set that is going to make them more money or make them level up in some form. I feel like there is still objections, but it's like much easier for them to kind of see the value behind it. And yeah, just like you were saying, big drastic difference when it comes to commission on selling something that's 250, which is $50 in commission versus also like I would sell products. So I would sell something that was $100 and I would make $15 on it. And I was working so hard, like every single day, hours, like you even watched me super late at night, trying to hit, big goals that I had. And I could never make over like, I think the most I had ever made in 4 years in one paycheck was probably like 1,500 or like maybe even 2000, like somewhere along there. But usually my checks were like fairly small. And I thought I just had to work more hours to like make that happen, to make more money, to somehow hit $5,000, $10,000. And so the biggest thing that I like realized is that you can take your skill sets that you have, and if you just plug them into a different vehicle, you're going to be able to 10x your results 10 times faster than trying to put that same energy into a vehicle where it's going to take a million times more effort to get to that same number. And so shifting into this, it's really just learning that it was just a number. It was something where there was a lot more value in it because, and something that I say to people, especially when I'm selling, is you can have two of three things. You can have fast, good, and cheap. And one of the reasons that we're fast and good is because we're not cheap and people see that value behind it. So it's like both parties win. They get a lot of value from it. They're able to kind of implement that and get the results they're looking for. And I make a higher commission on it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing I noticed big time when I went from selling because like my first like sales gig or opportunity, whatever, I was making it was like $1,000. So I'd make like $100 per sale. And I was like, how can I possibly make like 12, 15 grand a month? Like I'm just gonna have to close like freaking 8 people a day. Like it's gonna be so hard. And I just didn't have enough hours in the day to do that. But once I started selling stuff, it was like 6,000, like 10,000, like you literally in the same 30, 45 minute phone call, you can make 600, $1,000 instead of like 100. So just higher leverage.
Yeah.
When you went into the interview, process for this company, which you don't have to say the exact name of the company, they'd probably prefer you not. But like, what was it kind of like getting into the interview, and like, what was like the size of the company? Like, what did that all kind of look like?
Yeah. So I got the opportunity through the closing Bible. So anyone that like recommends where to start, like I don't know where to start besides getting into it. Because that's where I got the opportunity. Everybody that I know that's in sales, got it through you as well, just because like I'm in the community now. But yeah, I tried it in May, and I thought that, oh, I'm gonna give it a try. It didn't end up working out with the company. And so I stopped and I honed in on my network marketing business. For the whole summer, we moved across the country and I was trying to make it work. And I felt like I was putting myself in like super, super, super lows financially to try and like pretend that something was going to work when I just felt like it wasn't going to work. And so it came a time in like September where I was at such a low financially, like I was getting financial anxiety. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, but when you're so like money stressed out that it's all you think about, that's what I was feeling. Crippling anxiety, maxed out credit card, basically, like no money in the bank, not wanting to really ask you for any help because I wanted to figure it out on my own. And so
Yeah.
I think we were just like talking about, the closing Bible and the opportunities and companies that you were working with. And you like mentioned this one company and I automatically felt like connected with them. I was like, yes, like I think I would be good at this. I think I can sell this and do really well at it. And so it was one of those moments where I had tried in May and I like failed. Well, I didn't fail. It just wasn't the right company. And so I was really holding myself back for months of like, if I wanted to work with another company, if I wanted to go through you, not wanting to like, you know, do something and then fail and then do something else and then like not succeed at it. So it was one of those things, but I just realized like I have to give myself a shot. So I did ask you for more information on the opportunity, decided like I was ready and I had to make that decision for myself. And then I applied and I had like I said, I had no sales experience before. I had only like network marketing, smaller packages experience, but no actual high ticket sales experience. And so I applied for a setter role, which I think the starting pay was about 4,000-ish a month, like right around there. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit higher. I don't really remember. And I didn't even know if I was going to get that. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a hit or miss. I don't have experience. But what I did do is I made sure to show up for myself and take a chance on myself. And so I poured my heart out into that application. I really was extremely detailed in every single answer. And I feel like I went above and beyond because I wanted them to notice my application out of the other ones. I knew that if they got me on a call, I could close them on me. And so yeah, that from there, they reached out to me and they said, hey, we would like to interview for the setter position with our company. We really like your application. You really stand out. And so we started the interview. So it was a 2-part interview. The first one was just getting to know each other, questions. The second one was it was a mock call. So, which was really scary to me because I had never done this. This is like beginning of September. At this point, I'm like, my bank account is going into the negatives. And so I got on the interview and I like smashed it. And we were like talking a bunch of different questions. Midway through the conversation, my now mentor was like, hold on, like, I really want to ask, why did you apply for the setter role? And I was like, well, this is like, I'm new into this. I know I can do well if you give me a chance. But I don't have any experience. And basically he was like, you're selling yourself short because I have never done this, but I think that you would be the perfect closer on this team. You have the energy, you have the ambition, you're hardworking. You can talk to people, you understand how to, persuade someone. And so the interview went from being a interview for a setter role with this company to a closer role, which the commission, my guys, was a minimum of 10K commission a month to hit my KPIs. So that is when the interview completely shifted and it became a closer interview. And it was really based off of not my background, but my passion, my ambition, how in detailed I was with all my answers, whether it was through the questionnaire before or whether through the call, my professionalism. And so, yeah, I mean, it was one of those moments where I was doubting myself up until that point. And then having someone like say, hey, you're actually really good, was like a slap in the face of me being like, damn, I've been playing so small. I just had to give myself a chance. So yeah, I said yes. Well, that was the first part. And then we scheduled in a second interview, where it was like a mock call. So this was when I was still on, working with the other companies. So we went on like a company trip during this interview process. And I had like the script. I was like memorizing it with Garrett, walking down the street, like so scared to actually like do the script because I didn't want to like be looking at my paper when I did the mock call. And I went in the basement during this whole like retreat with the team that I had at the time, which I love them. But I did the interview and I got the job on the spot. And that is when I started my official high ticket sales journey mid-September. And yeah, it was super awesome. I like started with them. By the end of, I think I had like a week or maybe a week and a half that I was working that first month. I think I made like 1,500 in commission, which I used that towards paying off my credit card. And then the second paycheck was October. So I believe I'm not sure how much I made actually. I think it was right around like 7,000. Use that to like finally start paying my part of rent, which was extremely important to me. The rest of my credit card, I paid that off and basically reset my whole life because I took a chance on myself moving across the country and doing, the unconventional routes. And then by November, I had made, so basically in October, I had hit my first 100K month. So my first month selling in high ticket sales, I had over 100,000 in cash generated. Second month, over 100,000 in cash generated. I actually, with bonuses and everything, I made 9,700 like 50 or something like that, really close to that 10 mark. And that was the closest that I had ever gotten to it. And yeah, last month was my biggest month yet, about 12,400 or something like that. And this is coming from someone that literally was going so broke right before I started in high ticket sales. All that to say, like, sometimes you just have to give yourself a chance because things can change really fast. But that has been to sum up my experience in joining high ticket sales and the process.
Yeah, for 6 months to go from like credit card debt to like 13 grand a month is like pretty bizarre. What does your like day to day look like? Like, I think people a lot of times see like the like headline of like, whoa, making this money, but like, what is your like, I know because we live together and I've done this a lot, but like, what does your everyday like look like?
Yeah. So it looks like me being at my computer. And the cool thing is I can move around if I want to be at different areas, but it looks like a calendar of calls. So essentially high ticket sales. It's removing all of the external pieces of running the whole company and just doing the part that is making the company money. So they're the ones that handle the heavy lifting of getting ads booked, qualifying those leads, making sure that they're prepared for the call. And you're the person that essentially gets on that call with them. So my job is basically 45-minute sessions with different people that are interested in working with the company that I work with. And so my job is basically to qualify them. So yeah, it's really flexible. I think that's the really cool things about high ticket sales is that if you want to do it part-time, there's opportunities where people are looking for part-time. If you're looking to do it more full-time, and it is all commission sales based, which gives you a lot of leverage of being able to kind of dictate how much money you want to make, how many hours that's going to require. So, last month, making like 12,000, 400, 500 ish, that looked like maybe a slower first 2 weeks with getting 4 closes in the half of the month and then getting about 15 closes in the last 2 weeks of the month. So it's like I can make more money if I want to make more money. I obviously will have to put in more hours and open up more availability, which is something that I am open to if it's going to bring me more money. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect bridge between like running your own business and like having, the classic like job, like normal job, because it's not like a job in the sense of like we're going to Chicago on like Wednesday or something to like go tour apartments and stuff. And I would presume you just like, hey, like person, I'm just going to like block off my calendar. Like I just can't take calls from this time to this time. Like, cool. Like there's no like, no, you have to put in your 2 weeks and give us this time. Like you just kind of block off your calendar, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what it is. And there's just flexibility in what you can do and being able to kind of have communication, work from home. I think that it is the perfect gap between working a 9 to 5 and having your own business, because I think in what I was trying to do with network marketing in the past is I wanted it to work so badly, but I had no actual business experience. Like I didn't actually know how it ran, the behind the scenes. And I think that even more than like the commission, I think it's if you're wanting to build a business long term or using this as a stepping stone to like understand new skill sets that you don't already know, because there's a lot of things that you don't know, and like working with a company that's already established and doing really well, and you can see on the inside what it actually looks like when it comes to fulfillment and clientele and ads and nurturing, you know, collecting the cash, like that is so much knowledge in and of itself too. So yeah, I think it's, I mean, a billion times better than a 9 to 5 where they only want you to be there doing one tiny specific thing, and only that.
Yeah. And I mean, they do like 10, 12 million a year. They're not exactly like small fish. Like they're a good sized company. They
Yeah.
run a really, really killer operation. I guess when you went from obviously making more and more like money, what did you kind of see as far as like quality of life, like increases from just like your mental headspace, like going out and
Yeah.
doing things? Like what did that kind of look like?
Yeah. So when we first moved to Miami, that looked like I was personally punishing myself for working so hard and not making any money. Like I was working all day long trying to make, you know, my past business work, and it just wasn't working. And the quality of life was just like extremely draining and unhappy. Like I think, and even just being, you know, a host, when I was a host before I actually moved across the country, like right before, I was working so many hours and making like $300 every 2 weeks. Like it was horrible. It put me in a place where I thought that it was so hard to make $300, to make $500, to make 1,000. Like I literally wrote myself a check for $5,000 because I was like, if I could make 5,000 in a month, like that would be life changing. And it was like my perception was so small. It was making me look on the inside so hard and like judge myself. And so that's what the quality of life was like those first few months before I got into high ticket sales. Like, you know, I tell Garrett all the time, like I literally went through a phase where I refused to buy myself new clothes. I refused to do my nails. Like I did not do anything because I didn't think that I was like in a place to do that. And that I feel like is the shittiest feeling. You can't even do the little tiny things that make you feel fulfilled as like a human. I think that bigger than just like the 10K beyond, it's like being able to live the life that you actually want to live without having to like be constrained by your environment, and realizing that you get to decide what you actually get to do. And so coming into high ticket sales, even I went to the point where like I wasn't buying clothes and I was using this app called Fashion Pass, where it is a great app. I know people love it, but basically you like pay a certain amount a month, and you can try different clothes, and then you never actually get the clothes. You just like rent it basically. And
Yeah.
it was to the point where I was like, I can't even like buy myself actual clothes. Like I don't want to take that chance. And so coming into high ticket sales, of course, it was my priorities first, which was pay off my credit card, and then be able to pay my half of rent and just be able to sustain myself as like a person. I think that was super important for me, especially as like a woman, to know that I'm bringing something to my own table, that I'm proud of it, and that I have the capabilities of doing it. I think I was so limited, even like in my potential before I like started this, because I would even talk to Garrett about this, saying that like I wasn't smart enough, that sales was only for guys, that I wouldn't get taken seriously, that I wouldn't get a job because I don't look how the average salesperson looks. And like that was a lot of stuff that kept me so small when it came to my finances and my mental health as well, because I just didn't think that I was good enough. Hence why I applied to be a setter and then ended up getting the closer role. And so since then, it's been a lot of just like my priorities, making sure that I'm good, I can pay my stuff. And then beyond that, I think it taught me, being in that really low stage taught me that like I don't have to stay in that low stage, but I have to be very smart with my money. So I'm not spending it just left and right as soon as like it hits my bank account. I'm really focusing right now on like setting the foundation for my life and knowing that, you know, I have finances set aside for other ventures that I want to do down the line. So it's really just given me peace of mind to be able to do the little things like nails, eyebrows, clothes, working out, things like that, like the little everyday thing, going out to eat without worrying or having to look at my bank account, getting groceries, like that removes so much stress. And so now it's really just been about doing what really makes me happy and like stacking my money so that I can feel really secure when it comes to doing other things online.
Yeah, because I remember it was really hard for me to see you go through like financial stresses, but obviously I was in a bit of a different financial situation. And I remember being like,
100% different,
I
different
was like,
situation.
hey, like I could like pay for this for you, or like go get your nails done. And you're like, no, you're like, I'm gonna figure out myself. And I really respected the fact that like obviously I was capable of doing that for you, but you really wanted to do it for yourself. And you're like, you're accurate at the fact you were like kind of torturing yourself to like perform. um,
Yeah. Yeah, I
um,
got my nails done for the first time since it had been May, for the first time in November, Thanksgiving break. So yeah, it was a lot of work to get to that mental spot. But yeah, I especially for the people out there that are in a weird position, I feel like my story tells a lot about taking a chance on yourself, having faith in yourself. Because yeah, I mean, even just going back to the closing Bible, like it's not, just a cheap, $200 investment. It is an investment when it comes to getting into sales, getting opportunities, increasing your sales rate through your skill set. And like it could be so hard coming from a place of like, oh my God, I don't have any money, I'm so broke, but I want to make this money, and feeling like you don't have money, so it's going to put you in a worse spot, rather than viewing it as like taking a chance on yourself, taking an opportunity on yourself, and taking a bet on yourself to actually get to where you want to go in life. Because I think that when it comes to the opportunities are always going to be out there, but we get to decide what bets we take on ourselves, because nobody is going to bet on you if you don't bet on yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, people put it on a credit card, people go and DoorDash, you flipped, a bunch of furniture to kind of come up with finances.
yeah,
And so I really feel like if there is, like, if someone actually wants to make a change, I feel like I'm the perfect story of someone that like hit a low, like an extreme low point, where like I just consumed my mind every single day, and I had to make it work, but also believe that there was an opportunity on the other end, where if I just gave myself that chance, that I would see that, because I wouldn't be standing here today, like with everything that I've experienced and like the finances that, I've like made. And it's just a starting, like, I know it's going to go, way beyond that, but I wouldn't have been here if I didn't in that moment get to the low and decide that I wasn't going to stay in that low, and that I was going to figure out a solution. Because it just like you said, like you're not poor, you're just not resourceful. And I feel like if you actually want to make a change, you would actually be resourceful and figure out a way. I remember when I was in college and there was this course that I really wanted with one of my favorite mentors, and I had like no money, but I knew I wanted to do it. I got on her payment plan and I was just door dashing every single day, plus, my host stuff and my network marketing stuff to pay for that, because I knew that I wanted it so bad that I was willing to find a way to actually make it happen. So yeah, I think it's 100% like worth it for anyone that is in a bad financial spot, but knows that they have the skill sets and the passion and the ambition to like take that chance on themselves.
yeah. And I know you mentioned something, or just kind of like a limiting belief you used to have around like obviously being like female and being in like sales. I feel like is
Yeah.
predominantly like male led, especially like the high ticket space. But it's obviously not to say that girls can't do it. Like I think honestly, you
Yeah.
run laps around most guys that are in sales. You're really fucking
Yeah.
good at what you do. What would you say, I guess, to like, I know your DMs are always like flooded with like people that are, interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't have any, like, just go talk to Garrett. Like, I don't know. um, what, I guess, where did that belief kind of like stem from? And I guess, what would you say to other girls out there that like also kind of have the same belief?
Yeah. I think I feel like that's like a belief that has been with me since I was little. Like I remember being, really little and just hearing like guys are faster than girls, like girls are just supposed to be, looking cute on the sidelines, guys are the ones that bring in the finances. Basically, girls are dumb. Like I just feel like growing up with TV shows, teachers, friends, being a girl always put me in a box of like never being good enough as like the male species. And so it was something where it didn't necessarily bother me, but looking back at everything, it was definitely a belief that stayed with me, that really dictated my decisions. And it wasn't something that I can see now from like outside looking in, but from
Right.
inside looking out, it was just how it was. That's just what I believed. And so it wasn't until I had the realization that like those were all just a bunch of limiting beliefs that I was able to kind of make a change. And I know a lot of girls struggle with not even like they won't even book a call because they think that this isn't something that they can do. And I was living with someone that was in sales way long before he started his sales business,
Yeah.
and then had a full sales business. And I refused to even like tell him I actually like wanted to try it because I didn't think that I could actually be good at it. Like I thought it was something that, you know, other like only guys could be successful at, which might sound like a dumb limiting belief if you don't believe that belief, but to me it ran a lot of my decisions in life. And so I think the biggest tip that I would say for like someone that is in that position, that maybe, you know, you're a girl, you're interested in high ticket sales, maybe you have the skill sets, but you've never really gone into it, looked into it, you don't know if it's going to be the right vehicle for you, you don't know if, you know, you're going to be good at it because you're a girl. Like my biggest tip is like just book a call and talk to someone on the team, because you really never know. Like you don't know the things that you don't know, and you can go your whole life just wondering what would have happened if you would have given yourself a chance rather than just actually asking. And even if you don't end up getting into, you know, the, you know, closing Bible, like at least knowing and having full clarity in what the process looks like. And I know Garrett has a lot of companies that he works with where they're looking for a female specific
Yeah.
audience, like a female specific closer. And the, like, for example, the, you know, company that I'm working with right now, their target audience was females, moms, that wanted to create financial freedom, time freedom. And it was something that I could resonate with because I understand what it feels like to want to create time freedom, financial freedom. And so there's a lot of opportunities where they are looking for female closers or female setters, and you're never really going to know them unless you actually ask or put yourself in a community where instead of having to do all the outreach has already been done, and the companies are already there that are actively looking to hire you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was some, because like obviously you went from month one where like granted it was like 2 weeks or so, but like your first little bit of time in high ticket, like your first kind of getting on the offer, you made like $1,500, and then you made nearly like 13 grand like last month. So with it being performance based, like literally the quality of your skill set dictates how much money you make. So what were some
Yeah.
learning curves or like sales tactic wise, I guess, like different things that you tried to, I mean, quite literally like 10x what you were making within a 6 month span of time?
Yeah. I think when I first came into high ticket sales, it was a little bit of a curveball because I was not knowing what to expect. I was a new student into the process. It was pretty scary and intimidating. And I think one of the things that I learned is most companies, they have a script. And it's basically like the skeleton of the conversation, and you start to figure out your own personality. And I just became more confident as time went on. I didn't show up, like I didn't come in extremely confident. Obviously, my confidence got me that far, getting the job, but my confidence grew as I did it more and more every single day. As I messed up, the first 2 months, 3 months, maybe even, were a lot of just like mess ups. Like, yes, I was performing and I was making money, but there was so many skill sets that I had to learn about the tone of my voice, the way that I was showing up to my calls, the way that like my movement was empowering or impacting the other person, the questions that I was asking. It's a lot of things that like you don't know until you're actually in the situation. And I think the biggest obstacle that I went through in the beginning was like people taking me seriously, and me like not getting like offended when like someone was like super aggressive to me, you know, if I talk to someone in
Yeah.
a different location. Because you get people from all different different locations, different energies, different attitudes. And so I've been able to kind of get over that hump by just like remembering that, you know, I'm here, I'm giving you more information. You decided to book the call. I get to qualify or disqualify you. And I'm just doing my job. And so that's put the confidence and the control back in my hands, and the power back in my hands of knowing that just because I'm talking to a lot of people doesn't mean that I have to let a lot of people impact how I'm feeling on the inside. So I think it's even helped me gain a lot of personal confidence and clarity of like not letting the outside world constantly push me around, because that used to be what it was, versus in sales you really have to hold your frame and not let things like sit and bother you and mold it for like days and days, because that's going to affect your close rate. So
Yeah, I know you're talking about people from New York. Her and I both
yeah,
talk about how like
they're
leads from New York are always interesting because they're very like blunt and to the point and like super direct. So it's like I always like know what to expect when you talk to someone from there.
yeah, when it comes to like mirroring, like at that point, if you're talking to someone from New York, you need to mirror them and just talk how they talk. Like at that point, fast, to the point, blunt, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I guess last question here, and I'll just kind of give you the floor. Like, what would you say, I guess, to Michelle, like, 6, 7 months ago? Like, maybe like majority of people I would presume that watch this YouTube channel are either aspiring to get into sales, like looking to make some form of money, doing something in the online space is not necessarily traditional, or maybe they're currently in sales just looking to level up like their game. So I guess what would you kind of say to that person and Michelle 6 months ago?
Yeah. Well, 6 months ago was a long period of time. And it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it passes. Like the time is gonna pass. There is going to be Michelle 6 months from now, and I'm gonna be that like past version of her. And I feel like the time is going to pass regardless. You might as well actually take action steps towards the life that you want to live, getting back in the vehicle that's in alignment with where you're really wanting to go, and figure out a way now. Because if you've been struggling, and that was my thing, I was struggling for years trying to find the right vehicle, and I was looking and looking and looking, but I didn't actually start moving until I took action, until I took a chance on something that made me extremely uncomfortable. And that was this. High ticket sales was something that I put off for so long because I was scared that it was too good to be true, because I'd never seen people in my personal life besides you make a lot of money in something like this. And so I would just like remind myself that, most of the things that are extremely scary that you keep feeling in your gut, like that is your intuition guiding you to the next place. And if you keep feeling called to like try something like this or get more information, like maybe that's just your guide, like telling you like, hey, this is the next step. Cause for me, it was like knocking on my door, knocking on my door, knocking on my door. Bank account was getting low, credit card was getting maxed. Things were not working out. I was having emotional anxiety every single day. And that was like so many like knocks on the door that it was time to shift, that it was time to like actually take action. And it brought me to a low to actually have the realization that like I was the only one that was going to get myself out of that low. And I always talk about the low because I always thought like, oh, this feels horrible in the moment. But if you're like currently in a low, just like how I was, it could be like the perfect entrance to a new chapter where it's so obvious and in your face now that you actually can't avoid it. So you might as well take action and figure out a route, whether that is, if you have an investor in your life that you think might want to help you get back on your feet, or you just want to take that chance on yourself. I think that's like the biggest thing that I did. But yeah, it's been like amazing to see like the 6 month transformation where I'm at now. This is something where even like within my company, I'm starting to take on more leadership roles, and learning more skill sets, and it's all paying off. And I know that it's just a stepping stone for like the big goal that I had in mind when I first started, even getting into network marketing, what I really wanted to do and what I wanted to do long term. And I'll just leave it with this, because I don't know if your audience is into like manifestation or whatnot. But I even made a vision board with like all of my goals and the money that I wanted to make. I have a note card that's sitting in the bathroom right now that talks about like this time next year when I was a host, when I was in network marketing. I said like I wanted $20,000 in my bank account as like savings before May of 2022. And that was a goal that I was working towards, but I never got near it. I actually could never get my bank account past like 3,000 max. And then it would always go back to that like 500, 1,000 mark. And it took a year. Now it's April 14th. And it's a year late. But one of the really cool things that I was talking to Garrett about today is that after bills and everything, I've hit over in my bank account over that 20,000 mark and some, which it's not even made. It's almost a whole year later, but it's really cool when you actually put the intention out, even if you're in a horrible spot, to know that if you put the intention out, if you know exactly what you want and you're working towards that every single day, hey, it might happen a year later, but it's going to happen one way or another. And I genuinely don't think that if I would have said I actually want to have $20,000 in my bank account, that it ever would have happened, because I would have never actually been able to guide myself to that. And now I'm in a position where I want to learn how to hit 30,000 a month, how to have 100,000 in my bank account. And that's what I'm working towards. And it's those like small incremental steps that's going to lead you to the bigger point. So that is the last thing that I definitely wanted to leave everyone off with.
You're awesome. I love you.
Thank
But yeah, thank you again for coming on. This was so phenomenal. And honestly, is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my career, is like get you to the point where you're at now. And obviously you did 99.9% of the work. I just connected you with an opportunity and did what I really do for all of my other clients for you. I really didn't give you any special treatment. Like I did exactly what I did for all the rest of my clients, and you just took it and ran with it. So kudos to you. Like it was so cool to see it. Like you're only like just getting started. And then to everyone watching, this really, I guess, concludes to the end of the video. So below, we're going to have a completely free sales course for you guys to digest. And for those people who have heard enough and they're just like, all right, I've heard enough. I need to be making more money. Like I need a high quality sales gig. I want hands-on, like high quality sales training. Click the link below. It's garrettcampbell.com/closing Bible. Check it out. We have a video explaining basically the whole process and likely why you're not where you should be. And then you'll have the option to speak with our team where you can make the decision on if you're looking to move forward together or not with the Closing Bible, or at least hear us out. So that is that. You guys are awesome. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet. Comment below any questions you have for potentially Michelle or me about anything that we covered, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.